19 all-paid team, as well as we jump over to the NBA as the playoffs are starting to shape way. The Nuggets are out tied with the Warriors, as well as the emerging Brooklyn Nets. Yes, that's right, the Brooklyn Nets, and so much more starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to another fine edition of Debate Amongst Friends live on YouTube. And wait, is that a Facebook that I see? There's a wild Facebook appearing, Doc. What's going on with that? We are live on Facebook Live.
Yeah, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. I see my face. I see your face. I see our logo lit up. I mean, I see it all. We're back.
It sounds like a blind, but now you see kind of thing right now. But, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
mean,
I am the Professor John Gotti, and I represent my client, the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast champion that can chop down any mountain with the back of his hand and needs no phone titles to masquerade himself as a champion like a certain Mark.
right.
He is the true
Marks.
A-lister, Holly Woo! Doc Lesnar. How you doing tonight, sir?
Feeling like a champ. That's how I'm doing. I'm feeling like a
Ah,
champ.
he looks like a champ
And
to
the,
me.
the and the champ is here.
Oh.
No, shout out to that marking reference. That was great because that was so random and oh, how weird was that?
I mean, I'm
Um,
all for it right now. I mean, if it gets the people to talk about marking out amongst friends, well, then let's have a civil war between debate amongst friends and marking out amongst friends, and we'll see who among them has the best promo skills, the best in-ring work, and can bring the bootios to the seats. Don't be
war on
sitting there
podcasting.
talking. Don't be sitting there trying to call us Kofi Kingston
Oh goodness,
and screwing us over. Don't you be robbing me, friend.
don't.
Because the two guns of gaming amongst friends will go wild and will lay down the sweetest of kins.
That's right. And I mean, it sounds like you're trying to start the podcast wars, which would be ridiculous. But I mean, I'm here for it though. You just let me know. I'm here for it all. Through thick and thin, I'll be right here laying down the law and giving our normal reads like we always do.
Always
And if I
do.
have to invade their show and inject a little
A little
poison,
poison. Poison.
you know that I will. A
Because
little poison never hurt
because the doc has
anybody.
the poison. I have the ice in my veins.
Hey, but we got some things to talk about. We can't let Jay Ritty, take up all of our airtime.
Don't let him. Don't let him whatsoever. But I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to talk some sports. We're live on two separate entities, and I'm feeling the power. The power of the players. Let's get started. Sir, what if I told you that a set, a group of NFL players have a combined value of $1.8 billion dollars? Would you believe me? Would you think that I'm crazy? would you be stupefied? Like, what's your initial thoughts on just that number?
I mean, it's interesting because I'm going to use this, and actually, I'm just going to throw it out there right now. It seems like chump change after Mike Trout, after Mike Trout's news broke, but
Exactly.
you know, but I mean, it's still a lot of money. And I
It's a
think if you would
lot
have
of
told me that
money.
if you told me that a couple of days ago, I would have been with you. I'd be like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." I don't think I could believe that, but that Mike
And
Trout contract
but isn't
really,
it isn't it so interesting, like the paradox? And I had a chance to watch, well, read a bunch of people's posts on both Facebook, and make sure you follow Debate Amongst Friends on Facebook and on Twitter as well
that's
too.
right.
And Twitter, people reacting to the Mike Trout deal, and some of them are like, you know what? He definitely deserved that money. Like, they're making an investment. We're all for it,
Hmm.
and we're all for it as well too. But the part that made me laugh the most were parents, soon to be parents, and people just thinking about becoming parents are saying, yeah, forget about football, forget about basketball. My kid or kids are going to play professional baseball.
Either baseball or soccer. I mean, that's
Baseball.
where the money is, apparently.
But the problem is, like, this isn't new.
It's not new.
Like,
It's really
this isn't new.
not.
This has been going on for a long time. But no one talk about the
Hmm.
contracts with baseball until it starts hitting those really, really high numbers. We had like a couple of $100 million deals before,
Yeah, because
but no
didn't
one was
A-Rod get something
talking.
ridiculous?
Yes, like, but no one really was talking about it because, like, and you're gonna hear me say this about a team for the NBA in a little bit. Like, it's not sexy.
No. Well, I mean, didn't A-Rod get that much money, and a few other people got that much money years ago?
People,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, this has been going on for a very, very long time. Yes, I agree. Yes.
now I will say this: that Mike Trout contract is more than the cap hit on this particular list, and that's so ridiculous.
I know.
And
I
not by
know.
like a little bit. I mean, like it's legit, like landslide.
Well,
Like, oh
think
my goodness.
think about it like this. Mike Trout's Mike Trout's deal can almost buy an NFL franchise.
Right.
Like, it's that bad. It's that bad, ladies and gentlemen.
It was some ridiculous number that I saw that I don't know what it was, and I wish I could find it, but I feel like it was like $94,000, like a game or a day, or it was something stupid like that, and I was just like, what kind of contract is that? It was like, I don't know, it was some ridiculous number per game, I believe it was,
Yeah. Well, it's a
but
contract of a
I
lifetime,
mean,
basically.
hmm,
It's basically the contract of a lifetime. To
it
use
really
Godfather
is.
quotes, like, it's an offer that you can't refuse. I wouldn't confuse that. I wouldn't refuse that at all, whatsoever.
Right. And I mean, when you look back at it, I mean, I'm just looking at some of the bigger contracts, and of course, we can get back to football. I can't believe we can get to this. I mean, I wish there was somebody with the last name of October
I mean,
that could have done this.
spring is coming, but for some reason we're still craving the fall, and we're looking for Senor Octubre. Where is he? He's somewhere in Jersey. We need him back on the show.
But I think Mike Trout ultimately got this deal at the expense of Bryce Harper's deal,
Yes.
and at the expense of what Bryce Harper said, in stating, "I'm going to absolutely call Mike Trout to come to the Phillies and play with me."
Basically.
Hmm?
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Harper, I mean, he's a pretty solid player. He's like, "Oh, I absolutely am going to call Mike Trout." And the Angels are like, "No, I
Hey,
don't
hey,
think
hey, hey,
so."
Doc, is Chris messing with your camera?
No, that's my hand. I did one of these kind of things. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. For the people that don't know, and this is
uh,
my first time saying it, and anybody that's listening and can hear the sound of my voice, you are not tuned
wow.
in to marking out amongst friends, you turned into debate amongst friends, where I have hurt my leg. It's the first time I mentioned This is the first time I mentioned it on camera here, but I have torn my patella tendon. I am officially on injured reserve. So my camera's here for the first or maybe second time on my lap because I can't really move like that.
Wow. 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 And it's such a crushing blow to everyone here at Debate Amongst Friends, even Business Amongst Friends entirely. I mean, we tried those old guys, but Doc is that young guy. He's bigger, stronger, faster, and laying out beat dorms like you never seen before. And
I think
we hope that you have a quick and safe recovery, sir.
I was gonna turn that off. So yeah, I can see that I can see what you're referring to, and yeah, my camera's definitely tripping. So I'm just gonna turn off this feature here and hope that it stops doing what it's doing. It's
Stop
almost like it's
robbing Doc.
because I'm looking at it on Facebook here, and it's almost like my camera's trolling me and like individualizing different parts of my body as a single person.
Wow. I don't know what to say there.
uh,
I don't know what to
so it's
say there.
like,
What
so I'm
what
looking at Facebook
what
right
does
now, and
one
it looks like it's
say
showing.
to that?
It looks like it's showing my hair right now. So I don't know
It is
what
showing
the
your
heck.
hair.
I don't know what the heck is really going on right now. So
let's
I'm just
let
gonna
let's get back to the subject. I feel like we doing way off course.
so, but yeah, so the all paid team, with the first pick of the all paid team, they selected Aaron Rodgers, or I guess Aaron Rodgers selected them. I don't know how this works.
Yes. I don't think
A
they did
hundred.
a pick. I think they just it's pretty much kind of like the all pro team.
So I mean, I wonder if this will
So
hold true, like within the next couple of weeks. Like anybody could just become the next highest paid quarterback. You know what I mean?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely, but it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
You don't think so? Maybe next year or two.
Maybe next year or two, yes, but not this free agency. Not during this off season.
Well, no, right, absolutely. I mean, it depends. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I guess, technically is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Talent wise.
Talent wise, I'm not going to go out there and say he's the best, but he should be paid up there with the best. The second pick, or the second person, the running back position here.
Yes. I kind of like you keep saying second pick.
I
You
keep
keep
saying
getting
pick. I'm
confused on
sorry. I'm sorry. Could be the medicine. I'm sorry. The drugs, ladies and gentlemen. It's the drugs. I'm sorry.
Wow, we don't condone people, taking drugs. If you do, make sure you take it responsibly and be safe.
Wow. Can't believe you just said that.
There goes your weekly Gotti PSA. Ding, 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 ding.
But Ty Gurley now, after having such a subpar playoff
hmm
and having the knee injury that kind of hindered him from really making a strong playoff push. I mean, it kind of, I don't know, it kind of hurt his stock a little bit.
It did. I will agree with that. It definitely did. I mean, I don't even know if he was pretty much just non-existent, and the problem was like people knew it was the knee injury, but
Hmm.
the team wouldn't acknowledge that it's a knee injury. Now, while I appreciate the fact that they try to keep it, close to the vest and in house, it doesn't really help if everyone knows what's happening. So it's
Right,
like you're trying to play with house money, but you're continually losing said house money.
right.
But I mean, hopefully he'll bounce back next year. I mean, we say the same thing about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he got a new coach and everything. So you know,
This is true. I don't think the Rams are going to be getting any new coaches anytime soon, but
no, they're not. They're
I
not. They're
know
not
that
getting away from Michelle.
And I know they lost a few offensive linemen, so I'm hoping that they'll return to the same form. But I mean, I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
I agree. I agree. And as more development comes in, we'll definitely make sure that we provide you, the people, the news and the facts.
Now, these next three guys, I'm going to lump them together because we talked about two of them last week.
Mm-hmm.
One being Odell Beckham Jr., the other one being Antonio Brown, and then the third being Jarvis Blessum Landry.
Bless him.
Bless
Bless
him.
him.
Now, I will say, Odell, absolutely. Hopefully, he can bring over that same success with the Browns
Yes.
that he had with the Giants. Antonio Brown, same situation. Hopefully, he can carry over that same success. I mean, playing with Big Ben, I think we talked about, he makes receivers look good or vice versa. They make him look good. Whatever the case is, I'm hoping that he can bring his success to the Oakland Raiders. I'm not 100% sure about Jarvis Landry. I like him, but I don't think he's top three or should be top three paid
Well, and
receiver.
they did it based off position though, so they have him as a slot receiver. So I guess the question really is like, who's a better slot receiver than him?
I don't think he's a slot receiver though. He plays on the outside.
He does. And they considered it based on if they play at least 50% in the
Oh
slot.
my
So
God, that's
that's more of a
ridiculous.
technicality at this point.
Somewhere along the line, Cole Beasley's like, show me the money and I'll show you the best slot receiver.
No, Cole Beasley was like, Dallas, what? Bye.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I guess if you're saying 15 million for a slot receiver, sure, he would make the all-paid team.
Yeah,
Sure. That's ridiculous though.
but I mean, they might have him play more slot receiver.
Yeah, now I guess they
Yeah,
might. I mean, could you imagine him and Odell on the same
on this.
side? That's
Well,
ridiculous.
yes, exactly. And then I initially, claimed that having them both on both sides of the ball would be dangerous, but like them on the same side of the ball, that's almost unfair.
It is unfair, actually. It's not almost unfair. It is unfair. So looking, I guess, moving along the tight end,
Hmm.
Jimmy Graham, who's fallen off over the last couple of years.
Oh,
Um,
that's free falling right there.
you would hope that he can, regain some of that old magic he had in New Orleans.
Hmm.
But at this point, it's almost one of those situations where the only thing that can dig him out of this hole is a trip to Foxborough.
I mean, and don't put it past Belichick for making something like that happen, though. I mean, Gronk isn't as healthy as he is anymore. Even though he was a great catalyst towards them defeating, the high octane Rams in the most interesting Super Bowl of all time. I'm saying that sarcastically.
Right.
And what's one thing that they want to do? They want to be able to get people groomed enough to replace, aging superstars or bring in people that can just fit in that particular role. And I feel like that is something that Jimmy Graham could definitely do, just right out the gate. I mean, potentially having him with the aging Gronk and still with most of the series that they have right there. I mean, they could potentially push for high 40s touchdowns during the year.
Agreed. Agreed. But hopefully Aaron Rodgers uses them effectively this year,
Well, they're saying that
or
they're
he'll be in.
looking to part ways with him actually. So the Packers are looking to part ways with Jimmy Graham so they can save 8 million in cap for 2020. So
Well, I did hear that the Packers are actually not doing good cap wise, so that would make sense that they would
yeah,
be looking to part ways with certain people.
and
But
they
it's
just lost Randall
interesting
Cobb
to
too.
say the least. Right, and Clay Matthews.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. Next, we're getting into the big uglies here, which usually these guys do get paid pretty significant money
Yeah.
here. First, we have Trent Brown, who, left the Washington. Actually, no, excuse me. That's another Trent. He actually he left another team to join the Raiders.
hmm
16.5 million per year.
Yeah, and
$36.3
he left the
million
Patriots.
guaranteed. Yes, he left the Patriots. I don't know why I was thinking of the left tackle from the Redskins.
I think I know who you're
Who's
talking about.
also his name is Trent Williams.
Yes.
So I don't know about this. Now I thought it was Trent Williams this whole time. So the Raiders signed a guy. Oh my God. I swore this is Trent Williams this entire time. The Raiders signed Trent Brown, who played for the Patriots.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's such a terrible play. I mean, look at what happened with the Giants last year. Why would you sign you? But this is
After
not
what
what this
happened
is
with Nate
about.
Soldier, yeah, I agree.
We're, this is we're not doing this.
No, we're just gonna
I
keep
can't believe
going.
you did that.
Just gonna keep going.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
moving on.
Jaguars.
Moving on.
Yeah, the Jaguars. Wow, the Jaguars signed Andrew Norwell, $13.3 million, $30 million. These numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Thirty
Yeah.
million dollars guaranteed at
I
signing. 30
you
million.
know what that tells me, Doc? I think we need a Doc's top 10 overrated contracts.
I mean, right now Trent Brown is number one. So we'll see. I don't know. I can't say that. He might turn out to be good,
Wait,
but
wait.
if he
Kirk
doesn't,
Cousins' contract isn't waste of money? No, not Kirk
we have
Cousins.
to wait. I know you're talking about. You're talking about from the Vikings.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I mean, time will tell if that's a terrible move or not.
I feel like we
I
need
would
to
say
move over
Joe Flacco's was
a
wasn't
terrible one.
overrated.
It was a
Yeah,
terrible one.
Joe Flacco wasn't good.
That's
But
why they
I understood why they signed him though.
No. No,
I mean,
they
he
fed
won the
into the
Super
hype of
Bowl. He
them
was the
winning the Super Bowl.
MVP.
They just fed it. Come on. Come
Come
on. I mean,
on,
they had old Mr.
come on,
Reliable Anquan Bolden out there running the slot for them. Come on, stop it.
come on.
Stop
He
it.
had to throw it to him.
Stop it. I'm not even gonna go there.
So the Buffalo Bills spent a little
They got
cash and
Jacoby
paid
Jones and
Mitch
everything. Come on.
Morris, who's the highest paid center at $11.1 million a year.
Yes.
Cowboys, surprise, surprise, Zach Martin, the highest paid right guard at 14 million a year, 32 guaranteed. And the Broncos right tackle Juwan James,
Juwan,
12.8
and
million
not
a
to be
year.
confused with that other James fella. Mr.
Wow. Wow. Can't believe you did that. Anyway, $27 million a year.
Yes.
Okay, we're jumping over to defense. Aaron Donald, I think he deserves to make $22.5 million a
I agree
year
with you. Yes.
with 50 million guaranteed. And this is crazy because it's like with your
I feel like a
guaranteed
bunch of these defensive players deserve the money that they're getting.
because Fletcher Cox definitely deserves it.
Yes.
Khalil Mack clearly deserves it.
In fact, he probably
Uh,
deserves
Von
more.
Von Miller, I will agree.
hmm
These next two, I'm not 100% sure of. The next three, really, I mean, just looking at it
That second
here,
one right there though.
yeah. So CJ Mosley, he's good. Don't get me wrong. Great player. but 17 million, I think the Jets could have drafted somebody.
They should have drafted somebody.
Yeah, and paid less money. And I mean, even though they're meeting a need, especially the fact that they just went out and signed Le'Veon, it's like they could have went and got somebody different,
I think
and
they're trying hard
but
not to be the laughing stock of the league.
it's, I mean, when you live in an area where you have to compete with the Knicks and the Giants, there's nothing the Jets could have done to make themselves a laughing stock anymore. They're the forgotten stepchild at this point.
Oh, don't say that. uh,
I'm just saying,
we don't need Papa Lesnar jumping on the show just getting pissed off because he's like, Doc, why would you say that? Why would you say that about my team?
there's nothing they can do that would
He's gonna turn and look at me
make
like,
them.
John Gotti, why did you make my son say these things live on air? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he just say things. I can't stop him.
So these next two, Quan Alexander, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know dang well the Bucks weren't going to pay. I think even if the Bucks had the money, they weren't
They were
paying
not gonna pay him.
13.
No, no,
You know,
no,
it just wasn't happening.
no.
And I mean, they're definitely, coming off of a torn ACL. You know, don't get me wrong, he's a great player. And hopefully he ends up being exactly what they're looking for. But honestly, I think this is just one of those situations where, they went high risk, hopefully high reward. And I feel the same way about Anthony Barr. I think he's a good linebacker. 13.5 million. I'm not 100% sure about that either.
I can see that. I can agree with that.
Yeah, he's a great player, good sideline to sideline linebacker, but 13.5 million, and this could be just me, basing
Personal
my concept.
afflictions, yeah.
Not even that, but I'm saying just based on my perception of salary cap and how it works. Tying up $13.5 million into a linebacker is a lot of money for,
It is a
you
lot of money.
middle linebackers get paid, but I mean, we're talking Ray Lewis money.
Yeah, I mean Ray
These guys
Lewis is
are
not
these
gonna
guys Ray
walk through that
Lewis?
door.
Brian Urlacher money, even Luke Kuechly money.
Luke Kuechly money, yes, and I think Luke Kuechly's still only making about 7 mil.
Well, no, I think Quan. No, not Quan. Let's see.
No, I think he.
CJ. CJ
Yeah, CJ's
mostly
making 7 million.
passed him here. Yeah, and Luke is making 12.4.
That's what it was. That's what it
So
was.
you're telling me that CJ Mosley's better than Luke Kuechly? I'm just not buying
That's
it.
pretty much what the money is telling you. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
ridiculous.
apparently C.J. Mosley is the pioneer for the way that linebacker is going to be playing for the next 20 years. Apparently.
That's ridiculous. So so looking at cornerbacks here, we have Josh Norman, who has fallen off over the last
He's.
couple of years.
I mean, we talked about Revis Island like almost a decade ago. Like, where is Josh
Hmm.
Norman? Like, we need to put out an APB for Josh Norman. He's gone. I haven't heard nothing about him.
Right.
Nothing.
You got you got Tremaine Johnson, 14.5 million a year. I mean,
I
Logan
don't
Ryan
I don't
makes
think that one's worth it. In fact, and I think you was talking about this with the linebacker. I don't think the cornerbacks deserve more than 10 million now because of how the league is now.
I agree. And I mean, I was looking at I think Alterin Werner's stats
Mm-hmm.
because I know he just retired, and I think he said he only had like 11 interceptions for his career, and I was
Yep.
just like, what?
Yeah.
Like really? Or maybe
Yeah.
it might have even been less than that. And I was like, what is going on? But I mean, when you have a skill and then you have a team who has a big time need, it's like it's kind of tough not to pay him. When you look at a team,
No.
even the Dukes, the Dukes Titans signed Logan Ryan, who gets 10 million a year, and honestly, his his biggest play, I guess, came from playing on in New England.
Mm-hmm.
Where they have a system in place where it only works if they're in that system, and that's just my thing. If they're in the system, it's gonna work.
Yes. But if it shows based off their raw talent, then maybe that's a different argument to say, okay, maybe they deserve that money. But even with that, with him just being at 10 million, like I still feel like that's still too much. I mean, he hasn't had a pick. He only forced one fumble, 4 sacks. Like he honestly didn't do much.
Now these next two are kind of questionable. Safeties.
Mm-hmm.
Both were free agents. Both went to teams that had glaring needs.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey
Honey
Badger, and
Badger.
Landon Collins, the former Giant, both signed $14 million deals with 26 guaranteed. Tyrann Mathieu replacing Eric Berry in with the Chiefs,
Yep.
and then Landon Collins going to the NFC rival Redskins. I don't know. 14 million for a safety. I don't know, man.
I mean, I probably would have gave him maybe in the high 9 mils.
Right. Anything other than that, I'm
Like
letting them
maybe
walk.
even 8 in the case of
Right.
Tyron Matthew.
Right.
But 14, that's too much money. Like the quarterbacks, I would have gave them like a high 7.
Mm-hmm.
The safeties a
Mm-hmm.
high 8, high 9.
Maybe, yeah.
Like heck, maybe even for the case of Landon Collins because he was really really good for a terrible Giants team. Low tens. But
Right.
14 is way too much. Like
Way too
I'm
much.
expecting them to be like near MVP candidates or All Pro players, like
That's
leading their
ridiculous.
positions.
They should be playing offense and defense.
They should be playing Iron Man football, both on the
Hmm.
offense and on the defense, playing all game long.
Could you
But
imagine if Deion Sanders played in this era?
Dion would be baking right now.
He would make a lot of
And
money.
the worst part is, these players today are way more athletic than Dion.
Hmm.
That's what makes it worse. And Dion will
Yeah,
probably still be ball hawking on people.
I agree.
Come on,
I agree.
NFL. Come on, Redskins. Come on, Chiefs. Y'all know better than that.
Yeah, and lastly, we just had the special teams. I don't think special teams players, I don't think this is outrageous. Cordell Patterson, 5 million a year. I don't think this is
No, that's
outrageous.
not crazy.
Just
That's
making
not
four
crazy at
million
all.
is fine.
Yeah.
Punters making 4 million is fine. Yeah, I don't. Maybe the long snapper might be a little too much. I don't know. 1.2 for a long snapper is kind of excessive.
I will say it is an important job.
It is, but I mean, I feel like you can just draft somebody in the seventh round every year if you needed to for a long snapper,
That's true.
if you needed to.
That's true.
But I
Uh,
mean, it's cool though. It's cool. So that's the 2019 All Paid team. Hopefully, we'll see some new faces next year for 2020 All Paid team.
absolutely.
But if you do have any comments or any thoughts initially about this all paid team and how ridiculous it is that some of these players are getting paid this much, and if you feel as though I was way too hard on people, and I should give them a break, let me know who it was that you felt deserved more money, and because I want to hear from you.
Quan
And I mean,
Alexander is a
I know that, we have, some other topics to go over, but I think we have a word from a sponsor.
absolutely. And tonight's sponsor, the first one actually, is from
First sponsor.
Cheerwine, a North Carolina favorite, the soda of North Carolina. And we hope you enjoy.
Pour it on, all the fun cheer wine. Pour it on.
And we're back. Hopefully you enjoyed that commercial. And if you find cheer wine in your local grocery stores, make sure you give it a shot. And if not, you can always go to the great state of North Carolina and check it out in any and all stores out there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for that great reading of the sponsor. And now it's time to get into some NBA news and headlines and so many things going on.
I mean that because season's going down to the wire right now. You know, we're getting towards the tail end of the regular season. Teams are looking to lock their places
Excuse me.
in the standings. And we had ourselves a couple of nail biters. We have one game in particular where a team came back from big.
Yeah, and I was going to sleep last night, and of course, I wasn't watching that game. I was too busy trying to make sure that James Harden got his points. But apparently, D'Angelo Russell
Hmm.
went off on the Sacramento Kings.
Absolutely.
I mean,
He,
the first,
he shot for 44 points. 27 of them came in the fourth quarter. While his Nets were actually down in the second half by 28 points to defeat the Sacramento Kings, who are no slouches, ladies and gentlemen.
hmm
123 to 121. It was quite the game. It definitely showed. It's pretty much a culmination of how this Nets team been playing all year.
And the one thing I'll say is that he's going to get paid this
Oh, he's getting
season.
paid this summer.
Oh my
Like
goodness,
it's
he is going to
happening.
get super paid. I mean, I know we joke about Harrison Barnes and a few other people, but
Yeah, I'm so glad that everyone finally see my point about how that was a terrible contract. By the way,
I mean, it wasn't terrible. I
it was
mean,
a terrible contract.
it was just as good as some of these football players we just talked about.
It was almost as bad as Timothy Mozgov's contract. Oh, I went there.
I
I
don't
went
know.
there.
I think it was more of an Omer Ashik kind of contract than a Mozgov, or
Like
maybe
you
even
said,
like a Tyson Chandler, maybe kind of contract. But I mean, D'Lo coming out of college, he was good.
very good.
He went to the Lakers,
Hmm.
19, 20-year-old kid, second round, second pick overall. I mean, looking back on it now, the Lakers made a huge mistake.
That's an understatement.
I mean, huge mistake. I mean, huge, big, like this big, like,
That's pretty big.
and I think LeBron and D'Lo would have been good. I think LeBron, D'Lo, and some of these guys that they have would have been good. And it's
Hmm.
like looking at it now, you're sitting there like this is something that could ultimately have gotten Magic fired,
Yes.
you know. But he did have some growing to do. It's easy to grow up in Brooklyn. Like you think about it, it's like this team, there's no real expectations for Brooklyn. You go in, they don't really have an identity. We don't know who's on Joe Harris. That's the
Hmm.
only person I know. Dinwiddie. I think they had the manimal.
Yep.
But then for the most part, it's just like I don't know who's on this team. In comes D'Angelo Russell, finds himself in Brooklyn,
In
where
Brooklyn,
bas where New York of all places where basketball is like,
it's
we always talk
life.
about the Mecca of
Yeah.
basketball. It's in Brooklyn. It's in New York. So it's like, what a story.
Yeah. It's a heck of a story. I mean, they're still currently in the seventh seed. So if the playoffs started today, they'll actually be going up against the Raptors, which would be a very, very fun first round matchup.
It would be fantastic. I mean, again, where's October when you need them? But for the first time in a long time, the Nets are doing it, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, they're going to have to overpay to keep his services.
I mean, unfortunately, that's what happens. You know, you get those one, the one hit, 1 year wonders. That's what I meant to say.
And hopefully, this isn't. Hopefully, he goes on to play great basketball
Oh,
for the rest
absolutely.
of his career. Hopefully, he goes on to grow a beard and emulate James Harden for the rest of his
Wow.
career. And then all of
Wow.
a sudden, Chris Paul retires and, he's a free agent again.
Wow.
And then he comes over to Houston and
Wow.
then they kind of just Euro step together with their matching beards.
You're a step to a Western Conference loss in the Western Conference championship game. Gotcha. Okay.
Wow. You mean after being harassed and fouled endlessly,
after losing, after missing 44 3-point shots in the game.
30 of them were because the other team touched the elbow
Wow.
right here,
I don't think so.
touched the elbow.
Maybe like three of them.
At least 15 to
Wow.
25.
You went from 10 to 15 to 25. That I don't think that's how heckling works.
That's exactly how it went down, man. I know how those referees are. They missed each and every one. I mean, I think James Harden caught a clothesline from hell.
Wow. Hey, we both know if he actually got that move, he would not have been able to continue that game. Let's just.
I don't think he was able to actually.
Wow. He was still on the floor. Stop it. Stop it.
He was aimlessly running and aimlessly shooting the ball up after being basically hit with a weapon of mass destruction and
Wow.
the power of the punch. I mean,
The power.
it was,
Wow. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he
and
said
I
that.
gave you
I,
the
I
and I
can't
gave you
believe
the
he gave me the
wave.
wave too. What? I need to sip my drink right now.
That's for my old THQ buddies,
Oh,
Mm.
with some lovely Boots beverages, the ultimate caramel cola. It's actually quite good, actually. It tastes like a caramel truffle. But yeah, I can't believe you did that. The
Sounds
power of the punch, mixed slump ball. Oh my gosh!
That's great.
Oh, we so need to bring that game back, man. Just so we can make Sobo so he can do that.
I
Just so
just
we
wish
can do
TH
that.
I just feel like THQ just needs to take the gaming back from 2K. Don't get me wrong, I like 2K, but they had nothing on THQ. They were so good.
I agree. I felt like that was a very
Uh,
unpopular opinion. A
yeah.
very unpopular opinion, actually.
But I do hope that the Nets make the playoffs, though. I really do. I think it'll be interesting to see a different team in. Obviously, you know, teams aren't going to make it. They're out already.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping that the Nets can hold on and make it. And, who knows, if they win another game or two,
Yeah, and
maybe
FYI, too,
they'll.
THQ is actually gone. They're yeah, that happened like in
That's
2013.
what I'm saying. They need to come back and come back and make their own independent game. Maybe THQ can do AEW.
That's a possibility. I wouldn't be
That
against
would
it.
I need to email somebody because that would be super dope. If THQ did Ring of Honor, AEW, and TNA together or something crazy like that, independent all stars or something ridiculous like that. Um,
Wow. Independent All Stars. You do realize like half of the WWE roster is going to be in that game.
yeah, with all the moves.
With all the moves they can do, not just the six of them that they're only allowed to do.
Right, with all of
Mm,
them. That's right. And in the game, you'll still be able to do chair shots to the head.
exactly. I mean,
Um,
I don't know why. I mean, I feel so bad for Jay Ritty for just enjoying the WWE product that much. Then
Jay Rich, I mean, it's more like Jay Poor.
Jay poor, but let's stop getting off track of the subject. Let's
but the
talk
Nets,
about
you started with the Jay
let's
Rich.
talk about well, you talked about the THQ.
I'm sorry. It was just nostalgia and the wave and
Like, so
yeah.
I lost him when he did the wave. Anywho, so the Nuggets are now tied for first place in the Western Conference with the Golden State Infinity Gauntlet Warriors. Don't do that because that just remind me of. Oh no, I'm gonna go to another sidebar.
Oh
Borderlands 2
goodness. Oh Lord.
with the
Which
siren, and for some reason we
uh
just started doing.
yes.
But
Which if people play Borderlands out there, they get it.
yes,
But I mean, the West, we know how the West is, and it looks like this year is a little different
it is a
because it looks
lot
like right
different this year.
now the top eight is kind of already set.
Minus
Because
they're still up for grabs.
well, I mean the top eight. I don't think the Kings are making a late push. I don't think any of these teams at the bottom can make any pushes. I mean, I would say you must be talking about 5 through 8 shuffling around.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Uh,
5 through 8
but I
shuffling.
mean, I'm talking
No,
about
no,
the
no, no, no,
top
no, no, no,
eight.
no,
The
no, no,
top
no, no,
eight
no,
is
no, no.
set.
No, they don't have enough games to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the top
that's not
eight is
happening.
set. I mean, I'm happy that the Kings were ninth. It's a step in the right direction.
Well, I mean, if the Jazz or the Clippers or even OKC Thunder, go on a massive losing streak. I know OKC lost 3 in a row. I mean, it's possible. Statistically, it's possible.
I mean, highly unlikely though.
I mean, it might end up being
I,
super easy. Billion inconvenience.
I mean, but let's get back to the Nuggets still here. So, I mean, from what I'm seeing, they're half a game behind. I mean, technically, theoretically, they're tied. I mean,
Yeah,
they both have 22 losses.
yeah.
But
But
I'm showing a
once
half
again,
a
it's
game
still
behind.
statistically they're showing that they're just number two
Right.
seed. But it could also be, whichever website they decide to use want to make it look like the Warriors are still number one.
Possibly. I mean, we know what team should really be number one. They're sitting at number three, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not going there. I'm not going there. But
But
to the Nuggets though, and I talked about this in one of my final thoughts about how they're not
mm,
getting any respect. People for the past 3 months, I have watched diligently between Undisputed and ESPN the lack of Nuggets coverage. The only teams that they were talking about from the Western Conference were
oh boy,
the Warriors, the Rockets,
never,
the Rockets. They were.
never,
They were.
no.
The Clippers and the Lakers. Oh, and OKC. Those are the only 5 teams that they talked about for the past 3 months.
So when you think about it, you're talking about California,
Mm-hmm.
California,
Mm-hmm.
California,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're talking about Oklahoma City. And the only reason I talk about Oklahoma City is because really Russell Westbrook and his antics, beating up fans. I mean, not beating up fans, but getting fans
Whoa.
banned.
The debate amongst friends is not trying to spread out fake news, ladies and gentlemen. And we apologize for the Doc's latest comments right there. We are not trying to say that Westbrook is out
Wow.
here doing malice in the palace to people. We are not saying that whatsoever.
Maybe, maybe that was a Freudian slip of things to
That's
come.
quite the Freudian slip. Oh
But
gosh, we're about to get sued.
getting getting
Helen!
getting fans
Helen!
getting fans banned night in and night out.
Yes.
But the only news that I've heard about Denver, and I think I texted you this yesterday, I'm
Hmm.
still trying to figure this out, is why every time Isaiah Thomas goes back to Boston, they do a tribute.
I told
This
you,
has to be like the
it's
second or third one.
they're trying to get him to come back, and it's because Kyrie is leaving at the end of this season. That's
Why would he
exactly
want to
what's
go back
happening.
there? Why would he want to go
And
back?
the worst part is, it's not even tampering, and that's the funniest part.
Right? It's not tampering. It's just a tribute.
It's just a tribute, you know. We love you, Isaiah. It's like he got a
We
game.
want,
We love you, Jesus.
we want you to come back.
We
Come
want you
back.
to
Come
come
on, dude.
back.
Come on, come
ITU got the juice.
back.
But that's
Wow.
pretty much all that is.
I-
Literally. That's it.
That's ridiculous.
That's it. That's all they want. That's all they want. And the
Uh,
other big news that was happening too was when Jokic got kicked out because referee Struthers and him got into a thing. And
I
apparently
don't even.
that referee doesn't like Jokic at all. So, I immediately started asking, well, why is he refereeing those games? And if he has a personal bias, I mean, I know we had that discussion with referees back in the day when Iverson was playing. Back,
Hmm.
around his MVP seasons and stuff, because there's a lot of referees who just did not like AI.
Right.
So rather than, throw more fuel on the fire by having them, referee 15% of their games, like, don't let them compete against them. Well, don't let those
Right.
referees ref those games. Like, I feel like that might be turned into a conflict of interest. They already had issues with the Tim Donaghy situation. Like, why are you trying to open the floodgates once again? Not to mention, we had situations a few years back where it was vocally known by both players and referees
Right.
that they don't like each other.
Facts. And then, to top it off, I mean, I think we talked about Denver, and this is just speaking of Denver and the media.
Hmm.
The last time we spoke on Denver was when we were talking about the MVP race, really. And I know you mentioned that we had to put Jokic in there.
Well, I put Jokic in there.
Oh, I mean, he's in there. Well, he was in there.
Yeah, I
He's
think
not
they
in there
probably
now,
took him
but
out, and I could probably check like Basketball Reference to see where they have people
he,
based off of
yeah, he's still
statistics.
number three. He
Yeah.
still shows number three from what I can see. If this is still up, this is still up to date. Um,
Yeah,
he's
Jokic is
still
still
number
number three
three, or
based
at
off
least
of
top five.
basketballreference.com. Yeah.
But we definitely talked about that earlier in the year, of
I'll
course.
tell
And
you.
yeah, they still have him at number three. I don't I don't know if they've updated the probability because there's no way Giannis should be leading by like 40, 30 or 40 points over my man, the bearded one.
Wow.
I'm just not buying it.
Wow. Back to the Nuggets.
Back to the Nuggets. But I mean, they play great team basketball. They're a very well coached team. They've come a long way from George Karl and Carmelo Anthony
Hmm. It's
and
like,
J.R. Smith
and Kenyon Martin too,
and Kmart. That's right.
and Marcus Camby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In fact, I
It
think that
can
was
be,
their
man.
starting five around that time. Now that I
Hmm.
think about it, but it's a huge 180 from back then to now. We're talking about a team that's all about team basketball. It doesn't matter who
Mm-mm.
uh, gets the shots. Like, it's a team effort. They want those team wins, and they want to neutralize the opposition and try to win a title. And you know what? We're all for that.
Yeah, as long as they keep their eye on the prize and keep pressing down that target until it's down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only way to do it.
I mean, or be like
Neutralize.
the Doc and shoot him in the pinky toe.
I shot the pinky toe.
But I'm looking forward to see what they do in the playoffs, and that was the reason why a lot of analysts were saying that the Nuggets won't make it far in the playoffs because there's a lot of people on the team that has no playoff experience.
Sure.
I
But that's
still
where
feel like
Isaiah
that
Thomas comes in. That's where some of those
exactly
guys come
there's
in.
people on there that has the playoff experience, but people are forgetting about it. Like IT
Right.
nearly took his team to the finals before they ran into that person.
He became the toothless wonder. Toothless aggression. Yeah, I remember.
Wow. I think I finished talking about the Nuggets now. I can't believe you said that. Oh my gosh, you're
I
very informed
mean,
tonight, sir.
you had, come on. You have to remember that.
Yes, that's why I'm like I can't right now with you.
Come on. Well, I mean, as long as they are able to beat the Warriors in the playoffs, and then, we can come and beat them in, a 7-game series and go to the finals and beat whatever team in the East that they put us in front of us. The Rockets can go ahead and win the championship, and then I can celebrate like there's no tomorrow. I'm good with it all.
I can't. I think we need to do another commercial.
Hit them
I
with
think
your
we need to
best
do another
shot. We have
commercial.
another commercial coming in from another sponsor here locally in the great state of North Carolina. Hit them with the next
We
commercial,
have over
John
70 games in here
Gotti.
right now. We have 24 beers on draft. They're all craft beers from around the nation. That includes a big selection of local craft beers as well. It really started with the fact that these games have been gone for so long. The thought of bringing them back, both with the nostalgia factor and the entertainment factor, in combination with some great craft beer, just really thought that would resonate well with Raleigh. This place in particular, I think, is special because I think that we have become what we are largely because we continually ask for and listen to customer feedback. So we do actually a couple different recurring events. Every Monday we have air hockey tournaments. Every Thursday we have skee ball tournaments. They're free to play. We always have prizes for the winners or the winning teams. It's a lot of fun. We also have our new champion board over there where we list the names of the air hockey champions every week. We're always adding to the collection of games and also rotating games. So if there's something that people want to play that isn't here, we keep a live list on our website. We're always taking requests too. We're always on the lookout for some good games. Since we've opened, it's been a big focus on the craft beer. We do have a pretty decent bourbon list as well, and a full bar on top of it. Throughout the week, we've got draft night on Tuesday. All of our pints are $3, all 24. $3 Fireball on Friday. Sundays, we have $1 mimosas. We have some free Nintendo game systems for play. Jurassic Park is huge. People seem to love that. And skee ball is always really popular. We recently got in Spider-Man pinball, and that's been a really big hit. It's a great place not only to come and play games, but have some good beers, enjoy, the company of your friends.
And we're back. Thank you very much. Apparently, Chris enjoys still trolling the Doc.
Wow.
There we go. But we're at the point, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you all been waiting for. It's our final thoughts. As always, we like to provide you with subject matters to leave you thinking as you finish up your work week, because Tuesday's over and Wednesdays is always the first day to get excited because it's Podcast Wednesday. But as always, we're going to start off with Doc Lesnar. What you got, sir?
Well, first, might as well get to some kind of old news from last week. Kareem Hunt, after he was signed by the Browns, we all wondered, how many games was he going to get? Initially, I thought it was going to be six because that seemed to be the amount that the NFL always gives out. But they actually raised it to 8 games for Kareem Hunt's, domestic dispute at a party last year, or I guess the video that surfaced last year.
Yeah,
So he
it
will
was
be suspended for
most
eight
like it was
games.
primarily because of the video came out.
Right. So 8 games for that, which is really it's a pretty harsh penalty. I mean, they could have just suspended him for the year, but why even let him play? I guess if that's the case.
Hmm.
Joe Thomas actually had posted a picture online where he actually had transformed his body. The former left tackle of the Cleveland Browns actually has lost almost 100 to 200 pounds. During his career, he was well over 300. And, officially, he's pretty much down and he's barely recognizable, which happens to a lot of NFL linemen. So I'm definitely not surprised.
Yes.
But if you do get a chance, definitely check out Joe Thomas. Lost a whole bunch of weight. Hopefully he, starts his career and starts doing some personal training. I love watching personal training videos on Instagram. They're always inspiring. So if you have any out there, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to me or just tag Debate Amongst Friends on Instagram and Twitter. I would love to check out your transformation stories. March Madness is here. Definitely reach out to us and try and join. That's right. You got the feeling. You got the
Ah, I feel that
feeling.
madness.
That's right. Don't forget to reach out to us so that you can join our bracketeering expedition here as we challenge you to a duel of national championship reign.
And
And that's something that can't be taught, and people like Jay Rich could never think of something so clever. But March Madness is here. You got about 16 hours now to join Debate Amongst Friends as we go on a quest for a new national champion crowned beforehand as Duke.
I'm not gonna
That
go
was a
there.
run-on sentence,
I
so
know it
somewhere in
was.
there there's a comma,
Yeah, I feel like I was looking
there's
for a
a
comma. I was looking
semicolon,
for a period. Like
yeah,
I was looking for a lot of things in that
exclamation.
sentence there.
The only thing I did was I threw in an exclamation mark at the end because I believe that no matter how my bracket looks, it's gonna come out with the Dukies as the winner and Zion holding up a trophy. My last final thought, being that I did go ahead and give out my Mike Trout, you know, information earlier. James Harden has done something that no other NBA player has done in NBA history, and that's score 30 or more points on every team in the NBA. And I feel that ESPN should rename their entire series 30 for 30
The
as
James Harden
James Harden.
experience.
The James Harden experience.
Wow.
30 for 30.
Wow.
The
He's the
guy.
Velveteen friend.
But let me tell you one last thing and then I'll move on. In NBA 2K, they actually have James Harden as the second best player in basketball.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your initial thoughts on that.
Who they have that's the best?
You know dang well who they have as the
Who?
best.
Who?
It's Lebanon
Oh
James.
no. So first of all, 2K has a lot of issues.
A lot of bugs. Some
No, not
bugs in
even
there.
bugs. Just they have issues, internal issues with themselves. If they think LeBron James is still the best player in the NBA right now, stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, they should have brought him down a little bit,
Like
probably to it.
they're basically trying to make that particular player 99.
Player 99 out, player 99, player 34, player
Yeah,
23.
yeah,
Oh, I remember those. They were so
yeah.
good.
So that's pretty
They
much
were
what they're
better.
doing there. But that player in particular, he is not that good.
Yeah, so I was pretty surprised when I looked.
That's like saying, oh, this person should be MVP because he has this kind of legacy for himself. No, I don't care about that. What is it? What have you done for me lately?
Right, and that's why I think James Harden should be MVP because he's been doing a lot lately.
Was that your final thought, sir?
That's my final thought.
Because I'm like, I already know exactly what that's about to go into. I'm stopping it right now.
Hey, I'm just keeping it real.
Getting away from the bearded one, we have another scoring story to talk about, and this is dealing with someone who is sunsetting his career, who should be finishing up his final season, and that is Dirk Nowitzki of the Dallas Mavericks, who passed Wilt Chamberlain on the all-time career scoring list. He is now sixth all-time, currently with 31,424 points. Big congrats to Dirk.
Hmm.
From someone with a lot of hype when he got drafted, and started off really slow in the NBA and really picked up gear. Uh, I mean, he got himself a championship with quite possibly one of the you know best well-rounded teams to win a finals since the '70s Blazers with and that's completely before the 2014 Spurs, which I mentioned is one of my favorite teams of all time,
Right.
championship wise, because like you're talking about dissecting and neutralizing so much that a guy had to run back home.
Mm.
You can't write a story better than that.
Mm-mm.
Like I know people want to talk about beating a 73 win team, but I've been on record by saying that team was overrated.
Overrated.
But that 2014 Spurs team and what they did to the Heatles, the last year of the Heatles, in fact, a Heatles who
Hmm.
defeated said Spurs team the prior year, and I said after it happened, oh, they're gonna get them. They're
Oh
gonna give
yeah,
them that work next year. I've been on record saying this,
and it did,
and
and
they
it happened.
did, and they beat them by the highest scoring margin in NBA history.
Mm-mm.
But big congrats to Dirk. Honestly, he's not that far away from Jordan and even that other guy on the scoring list. So had he decided to continue playing, I mean, it's a possibility that he could pass Michael.
Hmm.
But I mean, once again, no one's talking about Dirk being the greatest of all time if he passes Michael Jordan. Like you see why
Right.
we have to use so many different parameters when it comes to these greatest of all time discussions. Because if people try to say that one person is the greatest of all time, it's because of longevity. That's it. That's it.
Right.
And he played more
Agreed.
games. Like, okay, well that's great, but you still only had 3 rings. You're abysmal from the free throw line. Like, you have all these stats against you, but people are
So that's
not
well,
recognizing these things.
that's why I'm going to stop you right now because I can see where you're going with this, and I'm cutting you
Oh
off.
no, I'm actually going to my next subject. I was completely finished with that.
Please.
I was
Yeah,
completely
get out
no.
of there.
I know how to
Because you
stop
did that.
myself.
It was like quicksand,
No,
and,
I
and
am
you were,
not.
you,
No,
this is what it takes to win a game.
I already putting. I'm going. So my next
Okay,
final
go
thought.
for it.
Yeah, I was already finished. I was done. My
I
next
don't.
final thought. Final round. Which is a FGC. I'm not gonna say esports, but fighting game community event. Which is a Capcom Pro Tour sponsored event as well. Concluded this past weekend, and I'm only going to talk about the Street Fighter V one because the winner of Final Round 2019, the Doc know this guy really well.
I mean, if you say anybody other than Peyton Manning, then don't
And
waste your
the
time.
person who won it was, God dang it, Donald! It's the Doc's boy, Punk, defeating Momochi,
Wow.
who was the reigning, defending, undisputed Evolution Japan champion of this year, with his Karin.
Wow. Wow.
I
He
waited until we got
finally.
live before I told you this. I did not want to solely the raw reaction from the Doc, because the Doc has been on record calling Mr. Punk, or Punk the God, the Peyton
Peyton
Manning of
Manning.
the FGC.
And he finally gets his win. I don't know if this is like one of those AFC championship games or not, but
Wow. I think you still want to see him win Evo. I think that's what the issue is.
or I just want to see him win the big games. I mean,
Well, I mean, this is a
and,
big
and
tournament.
again,
This is a big tournament. But he was winning big
it's a
tournaments
big
the year
tournament.
that he lost to Taquito, though. And I told you that. Like, he was winning a lot of these events.
I think it was just that Evo stage that I saw him,
Yeah.
crumble on. It was kind of rough.
It was a pretty bad crumble. Like, it was a pretty big meltdown. I will agree with you there. But it looked like he's starting to bounce back, especially with the new patches that's going along. I already mentioned that Momochi was in second place. We have Oil King with his Rashid. You saw him play one of the Evos before.
Hmm.
He tied fifth with a guy named Brian F, who is actually really good, a really good ball rock player actually.
Hmm.
Other people to note, Jian was tied for seventh with his Ibuki. Tampa Bison playing as Bison, tied for seventh as well. MOV was in ninth. Gamer B, who is a former Evo finalist actually a few years ago. In fact, it was
Hmm.
the year before we went to Evo. Was when he was faced off against said runner-up this year for final round Momochi, and that was an incredible set. We also have
Hmm.
Justin Wong, who tied for 13th. Itabashi Zangief and Smug as well, tying for 13th.
My God, Justin Wong.
And speaking of Justin Wong, he actually cleaned up in a lot of the retro fighting game events. He placed first in Street Fighter Alpha 2, he placed third in Third Strike, and he placed first in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Nice. Nice.
In my last final though, and I'm gonna make this one pretty fast, but I had a chance to watch a couple of my favorite YouTubers today reacting to an IGN article talking about Borderlands 3. And
Mm.
this person, and you know how much we love to poke fun at people when they write
Hmm.
stupid stuff. But this person was talking about things that we want for Borderlands 3. And
Sure.
there's a couple of things that he was saying, but once I start mentioning, be like, okay, yeah, he's definitely talking about a lot of the current games. So the first thing he wanted was gunsmithing, which is you can modify your guns, applying like
Sure.
mods and things like that. Create a
Okay.
character, which you really don't need to do in this game because you have classes to use.
The story, yeah, the whole story, the whole point of the story.
Battle Royale,
Oh my God.
yeah.
What a pissant.
Multiple planetary settings, so you get to go to different planets, but you have to use a vehicle to get there, kind of like No Man's Sky. Shinier, golden keys, aka microtransactions,
For what?
to get. So remember the golden keys that would use to use that box as sanctuary.
Sure.
Basically, that's going to be a pay to use instead of a okay, well, this is a certain event that Gearbox provides, and you can just do that. So yeah, and then the last one, which
Why
I
would
agree with,
somebody
is
suggest
cross-platform play. But a lot of these YouTubers who play Borderlands or are really big Borderlands fans was just reaming this article and the person who was writing this article.
Yeah.
Like completely
It's a-
giving them the business. Like Borderlands doesn't need
He's-
to be an Apex Legend, Fortnite type of game whatsoever. It doesn't need microtransactions.
Right.
Like it doesn't need gunsmithing because that's what makes farming so much fun for this game.
So that person's not that person isn't a probably isn't a Borderlands player at
He's
all.
not no, he's not a Borderlands player whatsoever. But he's also trying to find a way to get free stuff from Gearbox as well. But like these are the kind of things when it comes to video game communities that you have to be wary of with people trying to influence the current trend or the current fad to be now the standard. But Borderlands 3 doesn't need to be that. And I really hope when they reveal it at PAX East that they don't do that. But those are my final thoughts, sir.
I did want to add one more final thought that popped up here, but before I add that, I will say that that writer, if he's going to get anything from Gearbox, it would be the handing out of my first ever Drew McIntyre Claymore.
Wow. Wow. I like it. I like it.
Which
I like it.
I hate the Claymore, so the fact that
I know
he's
you
getting
do.
it is just
I know
a
you do.
double like. Ugh.
But I mean, I was
But
just enjoying myself just listening to these YouTubers just lay into this guy, and I completely agree with them too. You don't need to
yeah,
follow the current trends because you know what happens?
why
Your
would
game
you?
don't age. Borderlands have been, and we talked the same about the division. Like these games have aged so well that people are still playing these games even though it came
Right,
out, X amount of years ago. A lot of these,
right.
hot pocket cash grab games, they barely last 3 years.
And my thing is, it's like if you would have to sit down and play Borderlands and understand. It's like sure you could create a character or you can do some of these things, but it's like what's the story behind it? So let's say unless he's saying you could create a character and then choose like are you a necromancer or
Yes.
are you know what I mean? You're rolling with Salvador or you know what I mean? Like unless you're talking about something like that, maybe. But ultimately, if I was going to recommend anything, it would be that if you're playing solo, the story for each character is different.
Yes.
Maybe at best to give it a little more
A little bit more
independent
context. Yes,
solo.
I can agree
Yes,
with that. Yes.
solo longevity. It's like, hey, not only I'm playing the same game, but I'm playing as different characters. I'm going to get a different story. It
Yes.
might even be the same story. It just might be seen from a different lens.
And
You
if they
know,
if they do that, I'm all for that. But don't give me
right?
microtransactions. Don't give me gun
Uh,
modification because I really enjoyed farming. Like I've spent so many hours
yeah, it's
farming.
cool.
Like it helped me understand the game better because I'm
They'll
learning
make a
about
lot
all
of money
these
if they
things.
just bring it out. If they just release it the way it was and just, add a story. And I would say, I mean, we live in such a time where everything has to be open world, so I imagine it's gonna be open world
Well, I
somehow.
mean, it was open world for both games actually, or actually all three games actually. Now that I think about it, so I mean, they're
I
pretty
mean,
open world, but like I get
I'm
what you're
talking about
saying
open
though.
world where
Like we don't want it to be like No Man's Sky. Like in No Man's Sky, it suffered a lot